Everybody keeps telling you Loveland, Colorado is the perfect place to live. Sweetheart city, mountain views, affordable for the front range, small town charm, 20 minutes from everything. Here's what nobody on those top 10 reasons to move here videos will say out loud. There are things about living in Loveland that will absolutely drive you crazy. And if you don't know them before you buy, it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and a whole lot of regret. I'm not here to hype this place or trash it. I live and work in this market every single day. I've watched people move here and love it, and I've watched people move here and wish they'd asked more questions first. So in the next few minutes, I'm gonna give you the honest version, the real pros, the real cons, the stuff people only figure out after they've already signed. I'll be straight with you and upfront because I don't think these videos should make you guess where the host actually stands. I think Loveland is one of the most underrated places to live in northern Colorado, and in a lot of cases a smarter buy than Fort Collins or Boulder right next door. Not because it's perfect, it's not, because pound for pound, what you get here, the location, the lifestyle, price compared to its neighbors, is hard to beat on the front range right now. You're getting a real chunk of what makes Fort Collins and Boulder special, usually for less money and with personality of its own. That's my honest take after many years of helping people buy and sell homes in this exact market. But here's the thing, I like it is not the reason for you to move here. Your life isn't my life. So my job today isn't to sell you on Loveland. It's to lay out both sides clearly enough so that you can decide whether it actually fits your budget, your family, and your day-to-day. Does that sound fair? Let's get into it. Real quick before we start, 2 things that will generally help you. 1, if you're ever thinking about moving to Loveland or anywhere in northern Colorado, hit the subscribe button. This whole channel is local, on-the-ground breakdowns, exactly like this one. Neighborhoods, market updates, cost of living deep dives, the stuff you actually need to make a smart move instead of a stressful one. It's free, and it makes sure that the next one lands in front of you. 2, and this is a big one, if you're getting serious, don't try to figure this market out alone from a Zillow tab at midnight. Let's actually talk. I left a link right at the bottom of my description. It's my calendar. Book a free, no pressure call. We'll talk about your budget, your timeline, the neighborhoods that fit what you're after, and honestly, whether Loveland is even the right call for you versus somewhere else up here. Worst case, you'll get free local advice from someone who does this all day. Best case, we find you the right home before everybody else. Grab a time before you keep watching so it doesn't slip your mind. It's in the description. Cool? All right, cool. Let's get into the actual pros and cons. Let's start with the one that matters most to almost everybody. Price. As of right now, the typical home value in Loveland sits at around $500,000. Call it low 500s. And I know if you're coming from out of state, $500,000 might not sound affordable, but context is always everything here. Compare Loveland to its neighbors. Boulder is in a completely different universe price-wise. It's one of the most expensive housing markets in the entire state. Fort Collins, right up the road, consistently runs higher than Loveland too. So for a lot of buyers, first buyers, growing families, people priced out of Fort Collins or Denver, Loveland becomes the spot where the math finally works. Same access to the mountains, same northern Colorado lifestyle, often meaningfully lower price tag for a comparable home. The other thing worth knowing, the market here right now is fairly balanced. We're not in that crazy 2021 environment where you're waiving inspections and paying 50 grand over asking the same afternoon a place hits the market. Homes are generally selling close to list price. There's a reasonable amount of inventory to actually choose from, and you have a little room to negotiate. For a buyer, that's a healthier place to be shopping than it's been in years. And hey, if hearing those numbers makes you want to actually see what's on the market, I've dropped a link to search live Loveland listings, and it's a pinned comment right below this video. Click that and you can scroll through real homes at real prices. filtered for Loveland while you finish watching the rest of this. No sign up wall, no spam, just a clean way to see what your money it actually buys here. Pro 2. This might be the single most underrated thing about Loveland, and it's the reason I push back on people who skip right past it to Fort Collins. You're roughly 50 miles north of Denver. You're minutes from Fort Collins. You've got the foothills basically in your backyard, and you can be in Estes Park and the doorstep of Rocky Mountain National Park in well under an hour. The Big Thompson Canyon. One of the prettiest drives in the entire state. Starts right here and takes you straight up into high country. I love riding my Harley there. You've got the Northern Colorado Regional Airport right in town for smaller and regional trips, and Denver International is straight shot down the I-25 when you need a major hub. So you get this rare combination that's really hard to find anywhere on the Front Range. A quieter, smaller city to live in, with big city access and world-class mountains all within reach. People fall in love with that balance and don't fully appreciate how good it is until they've lived somewhere that doesn't have it. Pro number 3, if you like being outside, this is a big one, and it's not a someday I'll drive 2 hours to nature situation. It's right here. Boyd Lake State Park is basically in town. Boating, wakeboarding, fishing, camping, miles of trails, all with Rocky Mountain views. Lake Loveland has a swim beach that families practically live at all summer. Devil's Backbone open space has the iconic rock formation and the Keyhole Arch you can hike right through, plus miles of trail hiking and mountain biking right on the edge of the city. And it's not seasonal only. This is a semi-arid, dry climate with a ton of sunny days a year. So hiking, biking, golfing, fishing, you can do it pretty much year-round. And then real ski country is a manageable drive when winter actually hits. For an active household, the access to recreation per dollar here is generally hard to match. You're paying small city prices for big mountain access. Pro number 4, this is what makes Loveland, Loveland, and not just another bedroom community off the interstate. They don't call it the Sweetheart City for nothing. There's the famous Valentine's remailing program where volunteers hand stamp cards that arrive from all over the world. The Sweetheart Festival downtown. The Lovelock sculptures. It's charming and it's a real lived-in identity, not a marketing gimmick. But the bigger story is the art. Loveland has a serious community of working sculptures. We're talking a couple of 100 plus bronze foundries and the Benson Sculpture Garden, which hosts Sculpture in the Park every August on one of the biggest sculpture shows in the country. At Chippengood Sculpture Park, the Loveland Museum, and galleries all over downtown. And downtown itself has had a real revitalization over the last several years. Foundry Plaza, restaurants, craft breweries and distilleries, a summer concert series, public events almost every weekend, and a genuinely walkable core. For a city this size, the culture and downtown game is usually strong, and that's the kind of thing that holds property values up over time. Pro number 5, the boring but important stuff, and it's a quiet strength here. Healthcare. You've got UC Health Medical Center of the Rockies, which has been ranked among the best hospitals in Colorado. Plus, McKee Medical Center, and the Banner Health Network. For families or retirees, for anybody who cares about access to genuinely good care without driving to Denver, that's a real checkmark. Schools and family life. Loveland leans family-friendly. Parks, rec programs, neighborhoods built for kids, and a generally safe community feel. One tip, always check the specific school ratings for the specific neighborhood you're considering because it varies block to block. Don't buy a house on a blanket statement about the schools, and the economy is more diverse than people expect. It's not a one industry town that collapses if one employer leaves. You've got advanced manufacturing, aerospace and aviation, bioscience, IT, food manufacturing, and healthcare. Major employers include Banner Health, the City of Loveland, and Hatch Plus. You're a short drive from the entire Fort Collins and CSU job market. That diversification is a big part of why this area has stayed relatively stable through the ups and downs. Pro 6. Here's the intangible one that keeps showing up in resident reviews. It feels like a community. People describe it as a small town vibe with the convenience of a real city bolted on. You can go from downtown to open space in a few minutes. You can run into people you know at the coffee shop. There are events all year. It's friendly in a way that's getting harder to find. For a lot of folks coming from a bigger, more anonymous metro, that's the thing that makes it finally feel like home. And one small detail I love that most nobody mentions. Something like 87% of the city's power infrastructure is underground, which makes it more resilient when those big wind events roll through. And they do roll through, which is a perfect segue into this not so pretty side of this. Pro 7. One last pro that doesn't get talked about enough. Loveland gives you actual options. You've got character-filled older homes near downtown, established mid-century and family neighborhoods. Brand new construction in the growing subdivisions on the edges of town. And as you head west towards the foothills, you start getting into bigger lots, mountain views, and even some acreage and equestrian type properties. East side, west side, downtown, brand new. They're all genuinely different lifestyles at genuinely different price points. That matters because it means I can usually find something that fits. Whether you're a first-time buyer trying to get in under budget, a family that needs a yard and a cul-de-sac, or someone who wants a few acres and a view. A lot of towns this size give you one flavor. Loveland gives you a menu. And that's exactly the kind of thing we'd map out for you on a call. Now the cons. If I only gave you the good stuff, I'd be doing exactly what I told you those other videos do. So here's the honest other side. And please, don't skip this part because this is the stuff that actually trips people up. Con number 1. Let's be real about the price point. Yes, Loveland is cheaper than Boulder and Fort Collins, but the cost of living here is still above the national average, and home prices have climbed a lot over the last several years. If you're moving from a lower cost part of the country, $500,000 for what you can get can be a genuine shock. You might be looking at less house than you'd be back home and paying more for it. And it's not just the mortgage. You've got to factor in Colorado property taxes and home insurance, which on the Front Range has been getting noticeably more expensive, partly because of hail and wildfire risk. But more on that in a second. So the honest framing is this. Loveland is a relative value, not a cheap place to live. Budget for the full picture, taxes, insurance, the whole thing, not just the number on the listing. Con number 2, this whole corridor, Loveland, Fort Collins, Windsor, Johnstown, is growing fast. That's a double-edged sword. The upside is jobs, amenities, restaurants, and home values holding up. The downside is traffic and construction. I-25 through here can turn into a parking lot at the wrong times of day. And if you're commuting to Fort Collins, Denver, or the Tech Corridor, you need to be honest with yourself about what that drive does to your life Monday through Friday. And some long-term residents will tell you the small town character they fell in love with is slowly getting busier and more built up every single year. New rooftops, new shopping, more cars. If quiet and unchanging is what you're chasing, you should know going in that this area is very much in motion and that it's not slowing down. Con number 3. This is the big one people underestimate. So listen closely. This is where I see buyers that generally get surprised. The sunshine is real, but so is the wind. We get serious wind events on the Front Range with gusts strong enough to trigger high wind warnings, knock down branches and fences, and make driving genuinely sketchy for tall vehicles in the interstate. Combine that wind with how dry it gets, and you get red flag fire danger days and real wildfire risk in the surrounding foothills. Then there's hail. Northern Colorado sits in what people half-jokingly call the hail alley. A bad hailstorm can wreck your roof, dent every car on the street, and this matters for your wallet. It's a big reason home insurance premiums are up there and have been climbing steadily. When you're shopping for your home, ask how old the roof is and whether it's already been replaced, because that affects both your insurance and your future repair bills. You'll also deal with big temperature swings, the occasional heavy snow dump that shuts things down for a day, and a dry, semi-arid climate that some people love and other people really find tough on their skin, their lawn as well, and their allergies. None of this is a deal breaker. Hundreds of thousands of people live here and thrive, but you should buy knowing the sky up here has opinions, and you should check the roof and the insurance situation on any home before you commit. Con number 4. The economy is diverse, like I said, but be realistic about wages. A chunk of the higher paying jobs in the region are actually centered in Fort Collins, the CSU ecosystem, or down towards Denver and Boulder tech scene. So for some people, Loveland becomes a place you live in and commute out of, which puts you right back into that I-25 traffic, that conversation that we had before. If you work remotely, this is a non-issue, and Loveland is a dream if you don't map your actual commute before you fall in love with the house. And on travel, the local Northern Colorado Regional Airport is convenient but small, with limited commercial service. For most big trips, you're driving down to Denver International, which is roughly an hour to an hour and a half each way. Not a crisis, but worth knowing if you fly a lot for work or family. Con number 5. This one, and whether it's a con, totally depends on who you are. Downtown is charming and the brewery and restaurant scene is solid for the size. But Loveland is not a late night, big city entertainment hub. If you want a dense, buzzing nightlife, a massive concert calendar, pro sports every weekend, and 100 restaurants open past 10, you'll be driving to Denver. That's where the good chunk of it is. For a lot of buyers, families, remote workers, retirees, people who want calm at the end of the day, that's not a con at all. It's literally the appeal. But if you're young and craving constant action, go in with the clear expectations so you're not disappointed 3 months after you move. Con number 6. This is the last one, and it's the kind of thing nobody warns you about until you've actually gotten the keys. This is a dry, high plains climate, which means water matters and a lush green lawn is not the default. A lot of newer neighborhoods lean into xeriscaping and water-wise landscaping, and water and irrigation costs are a real line item, especially in the summer. If your dream is an emerald golf course lawn, that's going to cost you both in money and effort here. On top of that, a lot of the newer growth is in HOA communities. The HOAs can be great. They keep neighborhoods tidy and protect resale value, but they also come with monthly dues and rules about what you can and can't do with your own property. From paint colors to parking your RV. And because the city is fairly spread out, day-to-day life here is pretty car dependent. This isn't a walk everywhere town outside of the downtown core. None of that is a reason to run. But it's exactly the kind of detail I'd want you to know before you write an offer, and exactly why a quick conversation beats guessing. Here's the honest bottom line. You're getting a relatively affordable front range city, emphasis on relatively, with an elite location, a serious year-round outdoor lifestyle, a downtown and art scene that punch way above its weight, strong healthcare, real housing variety, and a genuine sense of community. In exchange, you're accepting rising costs, a growing and busier corridor, weather with a temper, a dry climate, and a vibe that's small city, not big city. My honest opinion, it hasn't changed. For the right buyer, Loveland is one of the smartest moves in northern Colorado right now. And the key words are the right buyer. And that's the part you can't figure out from a video. You figure it out from a real conversation about your budget, your timeline, your commute, and what you actually want day to day to look like. So let's have that conversation. The link in my calendar is right at the top of the description. Book a free, no pressure call, and let's pressure test whether Loveland is the move for you. And if you just want to start browsing right now, that pinned comment below has the link to search live Loveland homes. Whether we end up working together or not, you'll end up walking away knowing more than what you did when you hit play. And if this gave you the honest version you were looking for, do me a favor, hit subscribe and like the video so it gets in front of the next person trying to make this decision. I've got full neighborhood breakdowns and a Fort Collins versus Loveland comparison coming, so you won't want to miss those. I'm Jason Levi with the Levi Group. I'll see you on the next one.